Run with me a minute, could you? I so often start the day, which might be at 3 in the morning, of course, like it was this morning. Actually, I think it was 10 to 4. And I'll do a bit of the breathing, my understanding of Kriya. I was told the other day by my friend, this is not Paramahansa's Kriya. You're not doing it. Oh, okay. Well, it's the way God has it, and I'm very happy with it, and it's extremely beneficial. I'm not shifting ground. So, I'd better point out that in my friend, who is an expert in her field, I am not complying with Paramahansa's view of Kriya. And this is a wonderful thing to find out, because it means that I'm free to share it with you, my view of what Kriya is. You'll find on the internet that there's many views of Kriya. I personally feel they are, in large measure, well, all in the right direction, if you know what I mean. They're beneficial. Some may be much more effective for you than others, and perhaps it depends on who you are. A bit like religion generally. Okay. Where was I? Oh yes, well, and then I find, well, I don't know if the Kriya's doing me that much good. How long have I done? And I'd done 35 minutes. So what would that have been? Probably 60 breaths. I don't know, it might have been 50. Well, it might have been more, because I wasn't necessarily pressing to, lengthen it to 34 seconds, say, a breath or something. I mean, it could have been less, so in which case I'd have done 60 or 70 breaths, probably something in that order. But I didn't feel transformed or spiritual or right. My mind was wandering and all the rest of it. So I thought, well, I'll just check something of yesterday's recording. And once I get into it, I'm away. Now, is it because, obviously, I'm so in harmony with my own view of things? Or is it because, if you like, that's my best view of things from my perspective? And to listen to the recordings puts my mind back on, if you like, the best track that I've managed so far in my living. So it's a great blessing to me, and I'm then transformed back into a progress of, if you like, my best self. I feel in harmony with God and so on now, again. Okay, it's 6:45 in the morning now. It's 3 hours. 3 hours later, isn't it? I'm up and running. I'm blessed. Oh, actually, I'm laying in bed still, but you know what I mean. I'm awake and ready, as Paramahansa would have said. I'm alive. I'm feeling close to being at my best, as opposed to being pretty non. What a waste. So for me, you see, these recordings have been absolutely wonderful. For me. I've meant it for you. But I'm not discouraged when, if you like, my YouTube response is low. Because I've been so blessed by doing it. If no one ever listened to any of it, I'm still flying now, and I wouldn't have been otherwise. Do you see He does a greater thing in us and through us? Worth remembering that. It's a wonderful assurance, I mean, the world may or may not respond. That's okay. I'm not here to change the world. I'm actually here because God thinks that's going to be best for me to be here until he takes me. How wonderful. It's got nothing to do with what he wants the world to do. He can do that on his own. Or with the other billion or so helpers, or several billion, I don't know, whatever it is. Do you see? Or he can leave it all to the host of heaven to do. Doesn't need me to be doing it. Except he knows it's a blessing to me. So he chooses to need me doing it. Because he loves me. He loves you too in the same way. Of course. Why should it be different? We're both his children. Loves you to bits. Just as he loves me to bits. This is an amazing ego, isn't it? What do you do about this bloke? Bless you. Look, I'm not saying Kriya's the be-all and end-all. I just say it's very beneficial, especially for people who don't feel aligned to religion in the way that religion seems to be insisting always. And you can be totally secular and practice Kriya. And, well, it does wonderfully lead you in the right direction. You don't have to take my word for it. Just practice it and see. I don't mean it's instant miracle. Although I do find it pretty well always beneficial, although it can be hard at times to carry on practicing something when you feel that it's not doing it, so to speak. But the continuing of doing it, for instance, led me to think, well, okay, so I've done some Kriya. Perhaps this is enough. I'm nearly always blessed by, I think I'm always blessed by attending to my recordings. Perhaps I should check out what I did yesterday, what I recorded. And I'm away, aren't I? So you could say, well, you may not have felt the Kriya led you the right way, but you went the right way subsequent to doing the Kriya. Ah, yes. Would I have been more efficient in going straight to the recordings? Possibly. In other words, each can be a blessing in its way. Look, the practice of Kriya is not the same as loving God. It moves you in that direction. It gives you an inner, the body settles, there's a peace in the breathing, the body's oxygenated, it's fed, it's, with what it needs, life force. It leads you in the right direction. It's not the end of the road. It's part of the road, the journey. Just as whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things, and the practice of thankfulness. It's a very beneficial part of the journey. But it's not the arrival. The arrival is, well, dare I say, being overwhelmed by the lovely presence of God. There's no doing left needed to do. It's just joy and peace, hope and love. All joy and all blessing. Don't worship the path. Don't worship the way. Do not worship Jesus. Worship God, your heavenly Dad. The personification of what you value, and trust that He will guide you in what to value. And bring you to maturity, His dearest friend. And it might sound a problematic statement to make, but that we all be His dearest friend, all loving Him and each other, the host of heaven. Bless you. You see, you need to know when a practice is blessing you and when it's not. And that you don't want to get it wrong in either way. When it is, not realizing it. When it isn't, not realizing that it isn't. The means to an end. What is the end? It's life eternal. And conceived of in the sense of not just my life eternal, but given my values, all life, to be eternal and wonderful, of course. It's the Buddhist Sattva vow, isn't it? I don't vow, of course, because Jesus' teaching tells us not to make a vow. I can't vow to not do so and so. I can't vow to do such and such. That your yea be yea and your nay nay, for anything more than this cometh of evil. That's the Jesus teaching. Okay, we're not to worship the Jesus teaching, but gosh, I do take it pretty seriously. Should I say gosh? Don't think I should. Just noticed in passing. It's a manner of speech, isn't it? Not sure as it's ideal. To the point, Marshall. It's not the practice, it's the being. You see, most of all I love, the Gita says, Bhagavad Gita, but most of all I love those blessed ones to whom 'tis life to live in single fervid faith and love unseeing, drinking the blessed amrit of my being. And somewhere else in the Gita it says, they that sit certain of me. Most of all I love those blessed, Do you see it's being? It's not the practice. Don't worship the practice. Fall back on the practice when you need, of course. But the practice doesn't have to dominate your day, and certainly not in preference to when you find yourself in a state of being. With the loveliness of God. That's what really counts. Eternity is not work. Eternity is not investment in the future. is the wonderfulness of the present unfolding into the wonderfulness of the future forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, Dad.